Hello and welcome to LinkedIn Secrets for Job Search Success Part 1. Over the next hour or thereabouts, we're going to allow a little bit of time for questions. So probably about 45 minutes of training and then 50 minutes of questions. I'm going to give you unique insight as to how to use LinkedIn successfully as part of your job search strategy. This is part 1 of 2. The next session takes place in 2 weeks' time. So today we set some of the foundations, and then in the next session we'll build on that into some of the more advanced skills and techniques and understanding that you need to use to leverage LinkedIn effectively. First off, I'm using a platform today called GoToWebinar, which is fairly reliable, but on occasion, if you lost connection or I lose connection for whatever reason, if you just log back in, I'll still be here, and if I lose connection this end, I'll log back in and we'll meet in the middle. There is a question box on your control panel. If you have any questions as we go through, feel free to ask them. And as I said, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. Going to last around about 45 minutes. Bit of time for question and answers. Obviously, it depends how many questions we get throughout. But we'll be wrapped up by 2 o'clock for you to go back to your day jobs. So first off, let's talk a little bit about what Career Codex is. And first off, I wanted to let you know that this is built on real life experience and not textbook theory. So as you'll see in a second, I spent the last 10 years of my life in the recruitment industry, and having sat between employer and candidate or job seeker, the Career Codex methodology is those observations packaged into a robust strategy for attacking the job market in a successful way, which encompasses understanding the job market environment, the right psychology of the job seeker, putting together a plan as part of your job search strategy, and then process, which is all the stuff you would normally associate with moving successfully in the job market, such as CVs, interview technique, getting in front of the decision maker, and social media, because social media has become increasingly important, certainly over the last few years. So that sits within process, and that's what we're going to focus upon today. Bit of background then. Qualified chartered accountant, qualified in 2000, back then with KPMG. And then I fell into recruitment, first of all as a consultant working for a business. And then I started my own business back in 2008 at the outset of the financial crisis, which was pretty tough, but persevered and grew that business to a reasonable size, and decided to exit that business around about October of last year, 2013. And the reason I decided to leave the recruitment industry was because I'd spent a lot of my time face-to-face interviewing candidates. And I realized that actually a lot of the advice I was giving candidates was not really about how I could help them as a recruiter, but what they needed to do to move successfully in the job market. So to charter their own ship, if you like. So, part of the strategy would be to talk to recruiters. Part of the strategy would be to look at job boards. But then, particularly for the more senior candidates, what else should they be doing? And there seemed to be a real gap in the market in terms of knowledge. Hence, I wrote a book last year called Super Secrets of the Successful Job Seeker, which was published by Harriman House and has done very well on Amazon. Now has over 49, I think, 5-star reviews. About the same time, I did a program with BBC One, Inside Out, which was looking at how people over 55 years of age were moving in the job market. And I was invited by the Guardian Careers to become one of their panel of experts. My book was then turned into 2 Ofqual accredited qualifications, or used to create 2 Ofqual accredited qualifications, Level 2 awards in skills for career planning using technology, and Level 3 award in employability skills, creating an online profile. And it's element of those qualifications, as well as knowledge from the book and knowledge gained since, that I'm going to impart today on session 1 and next week on session 2. So all in all, I decided that probably being in the recruitment industry wasn't the best place for me, and to really empower job seekers to move successfully in the job market, the best way for me to help them was not to find them a job, but actually to teach them how to find the job themselves. And that was the catalyst for starting Career Codex. Wanted to talk to you about the engagement cycle. And what I mean by the engagement cycle is how, as a job seeker, you move through the job market. And it doesn't matter whether you go direct to employer, you're going through a recruitment company, you're going through a job board. It doesn't really matter, because what happens is a 4-stage process. And if you think about this 4-stage process, it happens in all walks of life. It happens when you go into, when you decide to hire somebody to perhaps do some work on your house, or you decide to appoint somebody to help you with your business or whatever else. And this approach is see me, like me, trust me, buy me, or in the case of the job market, hire me. So somebody has to see you, has to be aware of you first off. They have to like something about you. So they have to like stuff that you're saying, stuff that you present on a CV. Through an interview process, then, if they like what they see, you're invited in for interview, and there starts to be some trust built. So first interview, second interview, you start to build that trust with a potential employer or with a recruiter who's looking to place you with some of their clients. Because I can tell you, as an ex-recruiter, a recruiter will not represent a candidate they don't trust, because all that will do is cause problems with their clients further down the line. So the trust me element is very, very important. And this all happens before somebody says, do you know what? This is the person I want to hire. But the problem is, many job seekers I've met over the years, and in fact all of us in life, like to go from the see me to the buy me in one fell swoop. So if we're in business selling a product, ideally we like someone to see our website and click buy, and we make some money. But in actual fact, it's a longer game. And to build a proper long-lasting relationship, as an employer or employee-employer relationship is, building this into your social media strategy and how you engage on LinkedIn in particular, the topic of today's conversation, is very, very important. So see me, like me, trust me, buy me. And this requires a time investment on your part as a job seeker to set aside to work your social media profiles effectively, to build relationships, and to gain interest from professional recruiters and also employers direct online through LinkedIn. Let's talk a little bit about recruitment profiling before we actually get into the screen and look at the LinkedIn profile. So when you put together a profile, whether it be on LinkedIn, Twitter, or whatever other social media channels you choose to use, you have to think, who is out there looking for me? First and foremost. So who are they? Who are the people that might find me on my social media channel? So what I can tell you, increasingly over the last few years, both recruiters, that's professional recruiters, and employers are increasingly diverting attention to LinkedIn as a talent-rich place for them to find people for their business. And they're doing this for a number of reasons. First reason they're doing it is because there's a cost implication. So, going to a professional recruiter as an employer costs some money, and actually some of the bigger companies now are leveraging their resourcing teams to go out and find people directly. Also, there's a cost implication for a recruiter because advertising on a job board requires a financial penalty, if you like, in terms of the fee. And a recruiter can actually now go online, if they know what to do properly, and search for prospective candidates for their clients free of charge through LinkedIn. Because all of the stuff I'm going to show you today can all be done through a free LinkedIn platform, not one of the paid versions. So recruiters and employers are out there. They're looking for you, whether you can see them or not, or whether they're contacting you or not at the moment, but they are out there. And in my experience, probably around about 50% of the jobs that ever exist are probably not advertised through recruiters or job boards. They're obtained through recommendation and referral. And LinkedIn is an extremely important platform for recommendation and referral. The other reason why people like to recruit through LinkedIn is because there's a bit more meat on the bones, if you like, because as well as being an online version of your CV, you also have the opportunity to communicate recommendations on there, which is an online testimonial to your skills and experience. And also there's this thing called social proof, connectivity. So people can see through your recommendations that, yes, actually you can do what it is you say you can do, but people can also see who you're connected to, who they know. So think of it like this. If you're perhaps looking to hire a plumber. You've got a water leak in your house. You talk to your neighbour and your neighbour says, XYZ is a really good plumber. Well, you already start to trust in that plumber, even though your neighbour might not even trust that plumber, because your neighbour has used that plumber and had success through that plumber in the past. So this concept of social proof, and through recommendations and also through common connections, can add some real power to a traditional CV. So the next thing you need to think about when you're on your LinkedIn profile is, what are people searching for? So as part of the Career Codex methodology, what we do is we get you to define your destination statement, which is the type of company and the type of role within that company that you're looking to work for. So you need to position yourself on your LinkedIn profile and through your LinkedIn engagement in the right way that will attract people to contact you in that sector and in those types of businesses that you're interested in. So as a very rough example, if you are looking to work in the manufacturing space, then your profile should talk about manufacturing and experience in manufacturing, because somebody who's looking to hire you into a manufacturing role is probably going to be searching on LinkedIn under the word manufacturing. So it's very important that that sits somewhere in your profile. And think of it like this. If you were to Google yourself and find yourself, what would you search on? What would the keywords be that you would search on? Because those are the keywords that you should include in your LinkedIn profile to make sure that you're found by potential employers, prospective employers, and also professional recruiters. And the third point is often the most overlooked point on social media channels. And you need to think about when the people that you want to engage with, so these are recruiters and employers, are online. Now, chances are, if it's a resourcing team in a company, they're online during the day doing this. Chances are, professional recruiter is online during the day doing this. So with things like status updates, where you communicate stuff about what it is you're doing, some of your skills and experience, perhaps in relation to things you're up to right now, it's important that you perhaps time those status updates to appear when the people that you're looking to engage with are on the platform. So if you're using LinkedIn as a strategy and you're out of work currently, of course you have time during the day to do this stuff. If you're using LinkedIn as a strategy while you're still in work, looking for your next career move, then you might need to think a bit smarter about this stuff and use perhaps an intermediary platform to communicate various status updates to the people that will be there during the day, potentially looking at your profile. Let's move on. So there are two approaches to social media and two approaches to LinkedIn. On the left-hand side, we have LinkedIn as a shop window. So this is where you're a bit like a shop. You put all your really good stuff on your LinkedIn profile. It's there as a shop window. You hope people pass by because they like what it is you have in your store, and you hope actually they come in and engage with you and invite you in for interview, or at least have a preliminary conversation about your skills and experience. So it's about getting your LinkedIn profile looking as smart as it can, like a high street shop, to entice visitors in. And those visitors are generally professional recruiters or prospective employers. The other way to think about LinkedIn, and this is what we'll come on to in the second stage or part 2 of this 2-series webinar, you need to think about LinkedIn as a engagement tool, a proactive engagement tool, where you define what kind of businesses you're looking to work for and who within those businesses you should engage with and how to engage with them to start a conversation, whether a job exists or not currently, in a very, very proactive way. And this is often the thing that many job seekers I've met and interviewed over the years forget, because everybody puts a profile up there, and when I ask them, well, what are you doing with your profile? Most people aren't really doing too much, and they're really missing a trick in terms of taking a proactive approach to their job search by using LinkedIn as a proactive engagement tool to engage with the people that can help them find a job, whether that be intermediaries, which I call market makers, or employers direct. And thinking back to what I said earlier, 50% of the jobs out there never get advertised through recruiters or job boards, and they're recruited through recommendation and referral. So, just because you look on an employer's website and there are no jobs advertised, don't let that deter you, because there is opportunity everywhere. And for the right skills and experience, combined with the right approach to an employer, even if that employer isn't necessarily recruiting at that time, they are always on the lookout for talent, and you can open doors for yourself, if not today, but but into the future when an opportunity may present itself. And we'll look at so today we'll look at shop window, and next time we'll look at more of the proactive engagement tool. Okay, let's pull up. Let's come out of the presentation and let's pull up a LinkedIn profile. Okay, so let's pull up my LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn.com. Let's spell it correctly. Oh dear. I don't think we want that, do we? Okay, there we go. Proves it's live. This is my LinkedIn profile. This is my homepage, which shows me all the status feeds of people or companies that I'm connected to or follow, and what they're saying and what they're doing. If I go into my profile, this is where we're going to start to get into some of the shop window stuff. You can see up here I have a prompt to change my professional background, add some color and this, that, and the other. Not a major point, but something you should probably get round to at some point. It's not a particularly helpful background in that there's not a lot you can communicate. You can't really put a picture there because nobody will see it. So it's just about having a generic background up there, but it's not a major point. The key things on here are having a professional headline that says something about why somebody might be interested in contacting you. So think about the keywords that somebody may be searching on to find somebody like you on LinkedIn. What would they be searching on? So if you're a financial controller in the manufacturing space, the chances are somebody looking for you, whether it be a recruiter or an employer, would search on financial controller manufacturing. And the way they do that is through this advanced people search up here, which gives them an option to put keywords in, for example, financial controller, manufacturing, job title here again, financial controller, and then they can search within a particular postcode area to find somebody with your skills and experience. What we're trying to do by having a clear professional headline is to make those keywords stand out so that when somebody lands on your site, well, this is a mini website for you, that's the first thing they see. And it entices them to read on, do more, and potentially contact you. Which comes to the next point, because here I include my contact information. Now you'll see here under this tab, there is also a contact information box. But the problem with this is it's hidden. And actually, when people land on your web page, which essentially is what LinkedIn is, if they like what they see, you've got to make it really easy for them to contact you. So putting your phone number, putting your email address, or if you have your own personal website or blog, putting that on there is a really good thing to do, because you don't want people to look too hard to find you and contact you. And certainly as a professional recruiter, when I found somebody I like the look of, I would just pick the phone straight up. I'd pick the phone straight away up to them, because I wanted to talk to them immediately, because they were potentially the solution to the problem that I had, which was filling my job. So make it really easy. This is really important. Professional photo. As you can see here, it doesn't necessarily need to be black and white, but I'm wearing a suit. I'm not clean shaven, but I rarely am. But I'm looking smart. I'm smiling. My smile is directed towards my profile, which naturally encourages the reader of your profile to look at your experience and who you've worked for. Don't do the thing when you're on holiday, or you're with the family, or you're dressed down, or you're not smiling, because we all make judgments on gut feeling. And when you think about when you meet somebody for the first time, whether we like it or not, we make a judgment on them based on how they look. And how you look on LinkedIn is just as important as everything else on your profile, because if your photo's not on there first and foremost, people will probably pass you by. And if your photo's on there, it doesn't look professional, well, again, they may pass you by. So professional photograph, if you know a professional photographer, great idea to get them to do it for you. Here, we have what's called a vanity URL. Now, this is where you have the opportunity to create your own personal LinkedIn URL. And you can see mine has my name, Simon Gray, ACA, because I'm a chartered accountant. And when somebody clicks on this, it takes them through to your profile. Now, what you'll find on a lot of people's profiles is that it's LinkedIn, and it's a series of numbers. And actually, you're not really helping the searcher or the search engines find you for your name and perhaps your job title. So there's a way you can change this. So if you go up here into Edit Profile, you have the opportunity here to click Edit. And down here, you can change that to say, using my example earlier, uklinkedin.com in Simon Gray, manufacturing, or Simon Gray, financial controller. So I have my job title in there, or I have the sector that I'm particularly strong in there. And then you save that, and that becomes your URL. It's also useful for you to share on your signature strip or any other thing that you have to communicate with potential employers or recruiters. It's also useful to include on your CV, because what I can tell you is professional recruiters will cross-reference now always to your LinkedIn profile from your CV. So make it easy for them to do so. And a professional recruiter will think, this person's not got a LinkedIn profile. Why is that? And they might just pass on to the next candidate. So really important that you change that to something that's that talks about the sector or your job title and has your name included in it. Okay, so let's come down here and talk about summary information, various positions that you've held. What have we got down here? We have education as well, so where you went to school, where you went to university. Important to put this stuff on for completeness, as is interests. As you can see, interests are hyperlinked, so if somebody is also interested in economics, if I click here, I can find all the other people on LinkedIn that have said, yeah, I'm interested in economics too. So it's a pretty good way to find somebody with common interests. And actually, when you're approaching somebody that you don't necessarily know, having common interests is a very useful thing. So education's fairly self-explanatory. What I wanted to talk to you about is the summary page and also the connections page. Actually, let's talk about connections first. So LinkedIn is tiered in terms of connections. So first tier connections are people I'm connected to. Second tier connections are people that I'm connected to, that they're connected to. And then third tier connections is fairly self-explanatory. So as you can see, I have 3,092 connections, which gives me access and reach to 15 million people in my network. Because LinkedIn allows you to see 3 tiers in deep. So I can see somebody I'm connected to, somebody who they're connected to, and somebody who they're connected to and they're connected to, 3 tiers in. I can also see people that share the same groups as me. And groups is a very, very powerful tool that allows you to not directly connect, but to have visibility of a wide group of people with common interests. So boosting your connection number is very important. And there are 2 schools of debate as to whether you should connect to people you don't know, or whether you should not connect to people you don't know and only connect to people that you've met or have some experience of. And there's no right or wrong answer, but it's about asking the right questions. So think about this. A future employer, are you likely to know them? Well, you might, but the chances are you probably don't. A professional recruiter that is going to help you find a job, are you likely to know them? You may do or you may not. So having the mindset of connecting to people who approach you in the right way is probably the halfway house that is most useful to start to build your connections. And as your connections start to increase, then you'll find that people want to connect to you because you're well connected, because they know if they connect to you, then they have access to some of this to increase their reach and their visibility on LinkedIn. So it's not just who you can see you, it's more importantly how many people can see you who may be looking for you. And these are the recruiters and employers we spoke about earlier. So one of the things to check on your profile is this. If you go up here to your picture and go to privacy and settings and type in your password, what you can see here is select who can see your connections. Okay. So only I can see my connections, which means I protect other people seeing who I'm connected to. Now, whether you want this selected or whether you don't is entirely up to you. I have it selected because, coming from a recruitment background, what I didn't want to do is my competitors, when I was in the recruitment game, coming to my profile and seeing which clients and candidates I was connected to. If you're not in the recruitment space, then actually maybe you're going to let all your connections see who you're connected to. That might be quite useful. It might be quite useful for the purposes of synergy, seeing who knows who, and that social proof stuff we spoke about earlier. So that's just to make you aware of that. What else? Select who can see your activity feed here. So you want everybody to be able to see the stuff that you're doing on LinkedIn, because as I've said before, you don't just want to limit it to you or necessarily your connections. You want it to be wider than that, your network or everyone. So to crop up in search results, perhaps through Google, making your profile and your activity feed, which is your status update, which we will come on to, visible to everyone is best practice. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, James has asked, do you need to have a professional photograph taken? Well, James, no, you don't, but it's about first impressions. So I did, because I want to make the right first impression on my profile, and probably I would advise anyone very serious about using LinkedIn to its full potential, given that the photograph is so important, is to have a professional photograph done that looks professional, is business focused, and get that up there. It does count for a lot. Thank you for the question. Okay, let's go back into my profile. Let's talk about the summary. So the summary is really, really, really important. So this is about when somebody lands on your profile, this tends to be the first thing that they will see. And what they're looking for, if they're interested in the professional headline, they like the look of the photo, they like the look of the businesses that you've worked for, they're looking for you to tell them something about why they should pick up the phone to you or why they should get in contact with you. So it tends not to, if you think about your CV, it tends not to be things like just responsibilities. It tends to be more empowered things like achievements. And on my video webinar that I did on CVs, I talk quite a little bit about this, which is all about how you structure an achievement, a supercharged achievement, to add real power to your CV. So just to be distinct, an achievement is something that you don't necessarily do every day, but you may do over a period of time. So if you ran a particular project, you've done a particular thing that you're proud of, you've resolved an issue in the business, you've saved the company money, this is the kind of thing to talk about. An achievement generally has 3 stages. It has a context or a situation that you inherited or you found yourself in. It has an action, i.e. something that you did to better that situation or to improve that situation. And it has a quantifiable result. So did you improve reporting times? Did you save the company money? Did you directly contribute to profitability? What is it that you did that has value? And generally a number is usually associated with that result. So thinking about CAR, CAR as I call it, and if you Google this online, you see quite a lot of stuff on this. Putting this kind of stuff in your summary is really, really important. I have some accreditations, published author, Guardian Careers. I'm heavily involved with the Institute of Chartered Accountants and have some other things in there that just boost my credibility with people looking at my profile. This stuff, imagery, we're going to talk about next time. We then get down into the meat of the role, and this is where you need to start to think about your keywords. So what keywords will people be looking for to find you through this advanced people search on LinkedIn? So if you're a financial controller, you should probably mention financial controller in there. If you're in the aerospace industry, you should probably mention aerospace. If you're in the creative sector, you're a web designer, you should probably mention that. Thinking about what other people will search on to find you is the kind of things you need to put in here. But strike a balance here. So don't proliferate it with these keywords because it will not make sense to the reader of that page. But make it natural, flowing dialogue or information, but be conscious of the fact that those keywords should be there and should be mentioned. Let's talk a little bit about recommendations, because you'll see that under each of my positions, I've been very conscious and careful to get specific recommendations on my abilities to perform what it is I claim to be able to perform up here. So let's say you landed on my profile for the first time. You might read all of this and think, well, yeah, that sounds really good, but he would say that, wouldn't he? Well, yeah, I would say that, but it is actually true. And you know it's true because I have a number of recommendations here under my business career codex, which if I drop down here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which, tell people what it is I've done for them through my career codex, training and education business. So it gives you third-party confirmation if you were thinking of approaching me about maybe hiring me to do something, or if I was indeed in the job market, it would give you comfort that actually I could do what I said I could do. And the beauty of this stuff is you have to invite people through LinkedIn to recommend you. So you know it's real, and people who read your profile know it's real. And the way you do that, to invite somebody, you click up here next to the arrow next to edit profile, and you click ask to be recommended. And what you do when the page loads, if the page loads, which it should do because we're on a fast internet speed here. Okay, let's go back. I'll try again. Oops, ask to be recommended. You select the business or the role that you want to be recommended for. You then select an individual who you would like to recommend you. Here we go. So what do you want to be recommended for? Okay, so maybe it's Managing Director at Career Codex. Who do I want to recommend me? Well, let's put a name in. So maybe I want this person to recommend me. And then you complete a little personal narrative which says, what's the relationship? What were their position when they were involved with you? And then here you've got to make it personal. You've got to put a please in here as well. I don't know why LinkedIn doesn't do that, but you're asking somebody to take time out of their day to do something for you. So you've got to personalize it. Dear Tim, please would you take the time to make a quick recommendation on my LinkedIn profile based on X, Y, Z, to tell them what you want to be recommended for. Thank you in advance for your help. Best wishes, Simon. The best way to sort this recommendation stuff out is to phone somebody up first and foremost and ask them, would you mind doing a recommendation? So they know to look out for it. And what you'll find on that call is they'll probably say, well, is there anything you'd like me to specifically mention? And you can tell them, could you mention this? So when the recommendation does come through, it's more tailored to say what it is you want it to say. And that's really, really important. So you can think about your recommendations on your profile as testimonials or references that an employer would ultimately take out having offered you a job. But these references are taken early on and sit on your profile, advertising the fact that you can do what it is you say you can do. Let's move down to skills and endorsements. So where are we? Down here. we have skills and endorsements. So these are the things that I've selected to say, these are important to me. So I want to be known for entrepreneurship. I want to be known for career management. I want to be known for career counseling. I want to be known for career development. I want to be known for career advice. And as you can see, recruiting is quite high because I've had my profile for quite some time. But now, having moved into the career counseling space and career development space, this is the stuff that I want people to endorse me for. And you may have seen on your LinkedIn profile that at the top, when you log in, you are prompted to endorse people for certain skills. And these are all the people that have endorsed me for career development. And the more of this stuff that you get, the more endorsements you get. It's a bit like a Facebook like, if you like. It's a verification that, yes, this person is good at career development, or this person is good at career counseling. Not quite as strong as a recommendation, because it takes seconds to do, but it still adds weight to your profile. So making sure that you have the right skills highlighted and visible for people to potentially click on when they see your profile or are prompted by LinkedIn to do so is very, very important. And you can have up to 50 skills. And there is some debate, should I have less, should I have more, should I be more niche, should I have more general skills? What I would say to you is whatever it is you do, have your top skills here. Yeah, so put them in the order that you want to be noted for or noticed for. That's very, very important, which is why career management, career counseling sits here, and I've actually dropped recruitment down to here, and recruiting and recruitment down to there. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about, there's a question come in. Okay, so Linda, yes, if you want to change those skills, what you do is you go into edit profile, go down here, and you'll see this icon, edit. There, so you can move them around. So the ones that you want to be noticed for, you want to pull up to the top. So if I wanted to be noticed for coaching, I'll pull that up and I'll pop it there. So it sits in that top list where people are more likely to find it. You see it says drag to reorder. You just save that down. If you type the skills in here, you see I can still do 5. LinkedIn will have a register of skills and you'll be prompted to add the LinkedIn specific ones. Okay, let's talk about groups. So groups, and you can search for groups up here, and you can join up to 50 groups. If I go down here, you can see that, where are we? Where are my groups? Let's go to my profile. So down here, way down here, you can see I'm in about 50 groups, and you can join up to 50 groups, and I would recommend that you do that. And the way to think about groups is people looking for me, which groups will they be in? That's the way to think of it. Not which groups you're necessarily interested in, but the people looking to find you, thinking back to the keyword stuff I spoke about at the start, but also thinking now, well, if this was a pond, which pond would they be fishing in? So, you know, I'm in some recruitment groups, I'm in a professional association group, I'm in some business groups, and this is where employers might start to look if they were looking to find somebody with your skills and experience. And let me tell you a little story. When I was a professional recruiter, I was given a job by a large PLC business in the area to recruit an IT auditor. Now, an IT auditor is really, really hard to come by, and I could have gone to the job boards and advertised. I could have placed an advert in the press. I could have done all sorts of stuff, but I wanted quite a quick result. So I thought the other way around and thought, where would people be sat that I want to hire and that I want to talk to about IT audit? And I found a group on LinkedIn called IT Audit, and I posted in there. So let's go into this group. Medilink, for example. If we can get in, there we go. So I just posted a discussion in there that said, I'm looking to hire somebody with IT audit skills. Please contact me on XYZ if you're potentially interested. And I posted this in there, and I had about 5 responses. And one of those people who responded got the job. Now, when I spoke to this candidate afterwards, they'd been looking for quite some time, and they were quite staggered that I think that somebody was looking at this group from a recruitment point of view. And it just proves the point that professional recruiters and resourcing teams for large companies are looking in groups to see who's active, who's talking, and who they could potentially hire. So if this guy hadn't been in this group, I never would have got to him. So it's really, really important to think about which groups potential hirers of your skills and experience will be sat in, and to make sure you're in those groups. And the other thing to do in these groups is to start conversations, not necessarily about looking for a job, but start conversations around the facts, something that's relevant to your sector. So if you're in the aerospace sector and there's some latest news or trends or thinking, maybe put a discussion point up there and ask the group what they think about it. Start some conversations, because the more you can converse, and remember it's social media, it's not find a job media, the more you can converse in a social way with people in your group and in your space, the more likely it is that you will be found for your skills and experience. Now, I promised in the brief for this webinar today to talk to you about how to connect with somebody that you don't know on LinkedIn. And absolutely, you should be connecting with people that you don't know on LinkedIn to broaden your connection. But you always have to have in mind what's in it for them. Why am I connecting to this person? And why would they want to connect back to me? Because not everyone will want to connect to everyone. Some people will like to only connect to people that they've met, as I explained earlier. But building your connections and thinking about more of the advanced stuff that we would do on LinkedIn, i.e. through the career Codex methodology, identifying businesses that you wanted to work for, finding the individual in those businesses and making a proactive approach to those businesses. This is absolutely a tool that you would need to use to talk to people and engage with people that you don't yet know. So if I go onto my profile here, and I'm just going to type let's type a random name in. Okay, Tom Peters. Let's have a look at this chap. Okay, so Tom is a third tier connection. Never met this guy, but maybe I want to connect to Tom. So I've got a number of options. First thing I can do, if I have a paid version, you see I have a free version here. If I have a paid version of LinkedIn, I can send him an email, which is like an email, which is fine. I can personalize it and I can say some nice things, and hopefully Tom will connect back to me and get in touch. But for me, I've never used this thing because I don't particularly like to pay for stuff through the LinkedIn platform. And actually, there are certainly 2-3 other ways that you could connect to Tom that might actually yield a better response. Because if somebody receives an email, they kind of know that they don't know you, which is why you've used an email. So is there a cleverer way to perhaps get to Tom to get a better response from Tom? And absolutely there is. So you see he's a third tier connection, which means I probably know somebody who knows him. In fact, I don't. So I know this guy, Stuart, and Stuart will know somebody who's connected to Tom. So what I could do is have a look at Stuart's profile, see who he knows who is connected to Tom, and see if I know them. If Stuart was a direct connection to Tom, so Stuart was my first tier connection and Tom was my second tier connection, then what I could do up here was, it's not there because he's not a second tier connection. So let me see if I can find a second tier connection. Tim Peters. Let's use this guy as an example. So Tim Peters, again, don't know him, but I know somebody who does know him. Slightly better example. So I know Rob Brown. Rob Brown knows Tim. So what I can do up here is ask Rob Brown to introduce me. I can choose Rob Brown here. Again, Rob, can you introduce me to Tim, please? And I write a message to Rob. And then Rob, through his LinkedIn profile, can make an introduction to Tim, which paves the way for me to speak. And this is about social proof. So if Tim knows that I know Rob, he has a good relationship with Rob, he's more likely to want to speak with me. Now, you have to be slightly careful with this because certainly if you go to my profile, I'm connected to people that I don't know as first-tier connections. So always best practice, similar to when you ask for a recommendation on LinkedIn, ring up the person you know and say, Rob, I'm just checking. Do you know this guy, Tim Peters? Because I'm really keen to get in touch with him for X, Y, Z reason. What's your relationship like with him? Would you mind recommending me on LinkedIn? And Rob will say, well, actually, I don't know him. He's just somebody I'm connected to. Or I'll say, yeah, no problem. He's a good guy. And actually, you might want to say this, this, and this. And what you may find through that telephone call is that Rob might say, well, do you know what? I'm meeting him for coffee next week. Why don't you come along? Or he might say, do you know what? Tell me what it is you want to talk to him about. I'll pick up the phone for you. So always trying to get things offline to have face-to-face conversations or verbal conversations is a great idea. LinkedIn should not replace verbal communication. It should not replace face-to-face communication. It should be a means to get you to one of those levels of conversation, to a higher level of empowered conversation. Okay, so that's how you get introduced. Let's leave that page. I'm just going to quickly check something down here. Okay, alrighty. So the other way you can do it is if you see that this chap is a member of a particular group down here. Where's his groups? Can't find his groups. There we go. If he's a member of a particular group, then if you join that group, you then become a member of that group. And that gives you another option to connect with this chap in a slightly different way. Now, we don't share any groups in common currently. I could connect to this group, this group, this group, this group, but it would take some time because I would need to be approved. So what I'm going to do is work this slightly backwards and say, let's go into a group that I am a member of. And I'll use the example that I used earlier, Medilink, West Midlands. And let's have a look at, sorry, I wanted East Midlands. That's the one I'm a member of. There we go. Groups. Let's go into Medilink. So let's say, for example, so these are all my first tier connections first, but if I go down to page 12, I'll probably find a second or a third tier connection. Okay, so let's use Lucy. So example I just used, didn't know the guy, wanted to use groups to get to the guy. So imagine that this guy is now Lucy. So I've joined the group, I've gone into the group, I've searched for Lucy here, and I found her. What I have the opportunity to do is to follow her, to see what she's saying in this group, to see her activity, what are her status updates in this group. I can send her a message or I can connect to her. Now, if I click connect, it gives me an option. And LinkedIn used to give you an option just to connect on the basis that you were in the same group, but it doesn't do that anymore. So I'll come on to this in a second because this is the fourth way and actually the way that I tend to connect to people that I don't know on LinkedIn. But sticking with the third way, what you can do is if you go in to, or back to the screen I was in previously, and let's find her again. So let's go to Lucy. There we go. Let's go to Lucy. So if you click, it's a little bit slow because we're on the webinar, and you click here, send message. What you can do is put a subject line in and a message that says, "Hi Lucy, we're both members of Medilink East Midlands. I was looking at your profile and noticed X, Y, Z. I would be really keen to connect. If you would like to connect back to me, that would be absolutely fantastic." And you send that message. So Lucy gets that message and she has an opportunity then to connect to you. The alternative is you send her a message that explains what you're about to do in the fourth way to connect with somebody you don't know on LinkedIn. So again, the same thing. See, both members of Medilink East Midlands. Dear Lucy, we're both members of Medilink East Midlands. Hope you don't mind, but I'm going to send you a quick connection to connect because I think it will be very good for us to connect together, given that we share common interests and common backgrounds, whatever it might be. And you send the message. You then have the opportunity to click connect here, whereby you can click this box. We've done business together. And you pick the business that you're currently sat in, and you write a personal message, which can reference the fact that you are in the same group and that you sent a message through that group to introduce this connection request. Now, they're the 4 methods. So in mail, get introduced, go through the group and send a message, go through the group and send a message, and then go to this screen to actually send the invite directly to Lucy or your particular contact. Now, I've been in recruitment for quite a long time. What I've tended to do over the years is I've clicked the button, we've done business together. Because even if we haven't done business together, on the basis that maybe we will do business together or at least have a conversation online going forwards, I will click that. I'll click the business that I'm representing. So Career Codex, and what I'll do is write some text that introduces why I'm sending this request. And you need to make this personal. You need to make it personal. You have to be very careful doing this on an iPhone, iPad, or other mobile device, because sometimes it will send the connection request without giving you the opportunity to personalize. And if you don't personalize, there is the risk that the recipient could turn around and say, do you know what? I don't know this person. And as a result of that, I'm going to report this person to LinkedIn as somebody I don't know who is connecting to me without my permission. So just think of those 4 ways. Okay, that's pretty much an overview as to some of the things you can do to dress up your shop window on LinkedIn. So if we go back to this screen, you'll see we had shop window, which we've covered today, and proactive engagement tool, which we'll cover next time. So let's just see if there's any questions popped in. Okay, a couple of questions. All righty. Okay. So John's put, if you're connected to somebody you don't know and you click we've done business together, is that going to get a good response? Okay, well John, it may or may not, but it's an option for you. But you've got to personalize it. In my 10 years of recruitment experience, I've not really had a problem through LinkedIn because I've always personalized my messages. So people know very clearly when that invitation request lands why I'm contacting them and why I want to connect. And the other caveat to this is that, it should be fairly obvious why you're trying to connect. For example, I represent a business organization in Nottingham. So if I'm connecting to somebody based in Nottingham and I use that particular job title to connect with them, it's fairly obvious to them why I'm looking to connect. And I'm more likely to get a positive response. If you're not comfortable doing that, then of course you can pay for the email with a premium account. You can ask to get introduced through a common connection, or you can go through the group method and send a message asking them to connect to you, or messaging them before you connect to them. All absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Okay, I'll give the rest of you a chance to pop any messages in there, just conscious of time. Got about 5 minutes left. So if you would like to keep in touch with me and have news of future webinars or events that I'm running online, then please go to my website. And if you go to the home page or any of the pages, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see this sign-up form. Get a free copy of my guide, 5 Things Successful Job Seekers Know That Others Don't, which really plays a little bit on the psychology elements of successful job search. I send out a fortnightly newsletter, no more often than that. It's not spam, it's useful information, and you can unsubscribe at any time, but you'll be kept abreast of things that may be interesting to you or anyone that you know who is looking in the job market. We'll click to the next screen. Got a couple of minutes left for any other questions. Okay, so Tracy has asked about the icons that I have on my profile. So I think what you mean there, Tracy, is I've got some pictures, I've got some videos, and all of that good stuff on there. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what we will be coming onto in the next session. So if you haven't already, and you would like to, let me go to my website, careercodex.co.uk. So here's my website. If you click here onto services, specialist webinars, and you scroll down to the bottom, you will see LinkedIn Secrets for Job Search Success Part 2, 1 to 2 o'clock on the 10th of November. So in a couple of weeks' time. What we'll be doing there, we'll be looking at advanced people search, status updates, published posts, and I'll probably do a little bit on SlideShare, which is how you get the videos and how you get the documents on there that kind of add weight to your profile, add some social proof to your profile. So I've got 100 tickets there for that. Please go ahead and register for that. And there's the bit at the bottom of every single page if you want to register for this and be kept up to speed with the events and information that I'm putting out there. It would be great to see you sign up there. So I think we're about done. It's about 2 o'clock now. If there's any other questions that you have post this session today, if you would like to click here and email me, not click there actually, but just email me, that will be absolutely fine, and I'll be very happy to answer those questions for you. So just remains for me to say thank you ever so much for joining me today. Please register for next session where we'll build on the LinkedIn stuff we've done today. And any queries or questions, please visit the website or drop me a line. Thanks very much.